Hello, dear participant of the 12th Symposium of Creative Education. My name is Tommi Kärkkäinen from the University of Jyväskylä, and I'm very sorry not to be physically present in the symposium. So my talk will be provided through this video recording. And if you have any comments or feedback or everything, so just then contact me through email after the symposium or after you have checked my presentation. It's tommi.kärkkäinen@jyu.fi. Heramp knows how to contact and reach me. My title of this video lecture is Teacher as Coach, Videos in Scaffolding from the Lens of Football Coaching. And the talk is partly based on our very recent publication, which provided an integrative review on football coaching to develop especially football skills and the use and role of videos in those. That was with Antti Nyman and some other co-authors. But then on learning side, scaffolding for learning is a theme and topic which has been provided and studied actively, and especially nowadays with the help of AI assistants in different fields of life. So how this role of videos in scaffold for learning and in football coaching, would there be any similarities, differences, and some kind of conceptual transfer between these two themes? That will be the main orientation of my video lecture. So let's first have a look on the role of videos in scaffolding for learning. And to start with, perhaps it should be good to start with some definitions and fixing some of the terminology. Unfortunately, like in many cases with the educational settings, learning related concepts, even this concept of scaffolding for learning is a bit vaguely defined. Of course, scaffolding as term refers to support for learning, how teachers should support the learning of one or many students. But from the definition side, Van de Poel and others 2010 already noticed this lack of consensus about how to define what is the scaffolding in the learning context, and they proposed that contingency, fading, and transfer of responsibility are the key characteristics of scaffolding in our context. And we notice immediately that then this definition somehow refers both to the scaffolding support activity itself and its how much and when. So the contingency is related to the form of scaffolding. It should be responsiveness, tailored, adjusted, differentiated, titrated, or calibrated support of students by teacher. Then fading refers to the level and amount of support, which should be decreasing over time, student becoming more self-determined, more independent on his or her own learning. And then this transfer of responsibility refers to the same kind of dimension, that the learner control should be increasing, self-regulation, self-efficacy, learner centricity should be increasing over time, and this responsibility shift more on students. And then the learning activities be based more on students' cognitive or metacognitive activities or the students' affections during learning. So again, one notices it immediately that here the definition is completely contents agnostic. So what is the discipline or skill or context and scope of our learning, and does it even matter in this sense? Some of the recent research on scaffolding for learning, which I summarized next here, and these are linked to the video-based use of video-based learning. So Noon Thamant last year concluded that scaffolding in form of directing, suggesting, questioning, explaining, demonstrating, and facilitating learners in problem solving and individual work is the way to provide the scaffolding, and the ultimate purpose there would be that this more knowledgeable other, the teacher, pushes student, the learner, to this so-called zone of proximal development, to that zone where more learning is most efficient by Vygotsky's theories. Then Sturcell concluded that critical reflective feedback when using videos and revisiting own actions as a teacher in videos provides more in-depth professional inquiry over time, and this, as said, was on teacher education. Nicol concluded no significant benefits of adaptive scaffolding when pre-service teachers assessed how they configured the how learning and support of mathematical proof skills in geometry, that kind of development. So here we see again already that a bit more kind of demanding discipline, like mathematics, proofs within mathematics, and then the scaffolding, adaptive scaffolding, or personalized scaffolding does not, as is, provide all the help that is needed. And then one and others, 24 last year, concluded that this problematization-oriented scaffolding, so providing more, especially questions for cognitive support, that improved computational thinking skills. And then the structured-oriented scaffolding, which is a kind of providing more clear steps how to carry out some complex task, how to devise how one's own learning into the steps, pieces, and that enhanced algorithmic thinking. However, in this research, both the computational thinking and algorithmic thinking are disciplines within computing education where exactly these questions and steps are the core in these concepts themselves. Then more recently, Irmer defined or referred scaffolding as an externally given necessary support to assist learner to reach a learning goal. So there the goal is explicitly given, and especially in digital contexts, it can be added, faded, or modified, and for learning to take place in the zone of proximal development. So again, Vygotsky comes in even to this definition or kind of characterization of this scaffolding. And once again, contents is missing, or that everything takes place and is valid in all kinds of learning contexts with all kinds of materials for all kinds of disciplines. And one thing, does it matter at all? And another set of recent results on this, when there is a video-based learning and videos involved in learning, are, for example, given by Bratas, so that for L1 principal first language teaching videos, there are critical moments. So when teacher should scaffold in text production, its interpretation and in elicitation of the discussion ideas. So critical moments which need and which should be linked to the support and scaffolding. And then post-teaching mentoring can try to identify these situations, these events within learning. Then Cottrell and also this year, early this year, said that this must be, these processes, feedback process must be designed and implemented with students' need and therefore appropriate cognitive scaffolding in mind. So the current capabilities and cognitive properties of a student, and then these tools and teacher-student interaction should be linked, especially to the actual knowledge and the cognitive processes. So this is one conclusion towards the relevance of contents and also to the relevance of the student or students themselves. Then Irmer et al. In the same, where this definition was that situation-specific scaffolding, so this adaptive situation-specific over a time, over a fixed one, improves reflection of teacher students in concerning real classroom events, and this would then increase the pedagogical content knowledge in particular learning situations. And finally, Tong conclude that these scaffolding, when these videos are further analyzed and some learning analytics and related dashboards are included in this, they promote low achieving students' epistemic understanding. So now we focus, or this conclusion is related to those students who evidently need scaffolding and support by teacher. Then a couple of years ago, there was a taxonomy proposed by Noor and Howspace on this video, on the video-based scaffolding strategies, and they concluded 10 different genres on this: how to do tutorials, how to do certain tasks, so this kind of instructive video, then this instructional and teaching videos, more general sense, so the knowledge transfer from teacher to students, then introduction videos to familiarize to certain concepts and topics, or some environment where the learning takes place, for example, the game-based learning. There can be interview videos and with the structured conversation format with some experts, for example. Then there can be videos on location, presenting real-world scenarios, for example, some nature events and real environment issues. Then there can be recordings of video meetings to encapsulate and store learning activities, some group discussions, expert panels, etc. Then it can be streaming or conference recordings, like this talk, for example, in this taxonomy. Of course, nowadays, digital environments, digital technologies, videos, and also environments can include animations. Virtual reality can be part of extended reality, augmented reality, many terms for this. Then the video can have this self-reflective form, where a group or self is reflecting his or her own actions, and this is very typical in skills. And then there can be professional video recordings where this refers to the quality of video products. For example, those videos that one may produce as part of some high-end projects, for example, supported by European Union. Then another perspective is the football coaching perspective, and as said, this is based on our recent article, which was just published in International Sports Coaching Journal, where we did the integrative review in football coaching. the inclusion criteria were that the player is watching, and here player is kind of proxy or similar to student, is watching the video. There are football activities. Coach is performing coaching activities, so it has an active role, both student and teacher, and then all this helps the player to become a better football player. And so we identified first over 300 records from Scopus and eventually ended up with the 34 relevant articles, which fulfilled all these inclusion criteria. And then important part of the analysis was that we proposed a framework for analyzing these 34 articles, which is a kind of redefinition of famous TPAC framework, technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. And here we nominated our framework as TSAF framework, so it combines technology, coaching, and football knowledge. So we have the coaching perspective, we have the technological perspective, especially the raw videos there, and then of course the football itself as a game, that knowledge. And these two can have pairs, and then we identified a small set of core articles which dealt with all these three aspects: the video aspect, the coach aspect, and the football knowledge aspect, of course, mostly from the footballer perspective. And so we concluded that the use of videos can enhance match analysis and support better individual feedback. Videos can be motivational. This is where you played well. Can be performance reviews and can go to individual self-controlled feedback situation. Then, of course, they support developing players, personal qualities as a football player. Also, these videos can identify coordination problems. And this is, of course, rather directly linked to how some group collaborates in some learning environment. Does this support individual and group level learnings? Then training tactical skills was supported through the videos, and then of course the metacognitive or learning to learn skills from learning perspective is somehow linked to this. Then one could improve coaching behaviors. So how does the coach behaves when he take interactions, actions, what kind of, and this is of course very much linked to the how teacher behaves, and many of those video-based articles that I summarized before are exactly on this, on teacher education or on teacher self-reflection. Then we can check how balanced the feedback is, how equal treatment of players, fairness of the, and this is of course very similar to the student-teacher relationships in classroom and in other learning situations. And then the player engagement, which is very much, especially in the Western world, Finland and others, is that how engaged the students are to learning, or are they engaged to something else, like, for example, mobile phone. And then the opportunities on using the videos in this football knowledge. We can develop team play. We can increase player involvement so that it's not only the coach's perspective that defines conclusions about what happened and what should be improved, but there is a shared documentation and shared environment ground for improvement through this use of videos. And then coaching strategies can be enhanced through this way. Then, of course, there are some barriers as well. So we can be over-reliance on technology. So because there is very much materials through these videos, and more one can try to do more or less automatic analysis, but still the core knowledge on the issues related to football is always there. Then, of course, the increased technology may increase also the mental workload to create some cognitive load through that. And then are there sufficient resources to fully utilize everything that we have in the videos, in their analysis, how much manual work this needs, etc. So these are the kind of barriers on this utilization part of videos. Practical implications here are that we can sharpen the communication, especially between the team players and the coach, and we can improve the player development, be more personalized, individual on which player should focus on which kind of development, either individually or as part of the team. And then, of course, we can improve the coaching efficiency. So when to be active and in which form. There, if you look at these things from the TV, for example, you see very different ways of how coaches act and react and intervene with the team, for example, in some high-end matches. So to end and conclude my video lecture, I come to the point that is there some reconciliation? Is there now the conceptual transfer between integrated review of football knowledge, skills, training, trainer, players, videos, these things, and then the scaffolding for learnings where videos are involved? And so indeed, teachers are coaches, and coaches should be in many situations teachers. So they should support the learners and students to get better, as similarly as coaches support players to get better. And similarly, the players are students, and in many cases it might be beneficial for at least some of the students to be more like players, which means that they would be more engaged, they would be more part of the team, and both of these things would improve learning on both on individual and on group and class level. Again, or in addition, similar to coaches, of course, a teacher should develop and advocate development of both the individual learners and the student teams and groups. So there are these different, I would say, levels of abstraction in teachers' work, which are every day there on the coach work as well. Of course, from football coaching perspective, we can have many coaches with different roles where this is more concerned, or where this is organized through a team of teachers or coaches. And then concerning this scaffolding research related to education, the football coaching research is much more elaborated on the strategies and processes, how to organize the development of the players. We do have some classical instructional design in learning, but I think those were very low level stuff compared to what are the possibilities in digital environments, learning environments, use of videos and others nowadays. So there might be something to learn for the teachers as well. And then these frameworks like this TPAC originally, which was modified for SAFC in these integrative reviews. They simply enable structured analysis of these teaching and coaching practices and their outcomes. So support better elaboration of empirical results and empirical research and how to conclude and how to end up with the benefits. And then it's much easier and constantly improving to capture and process video-based materials nowadays. That's clear. The technology is developing all the time. Then I have some notes, a couple of notes from some of the recent research. So of course, in addition to these different genres of the videos, as Khalil and others noted, the content type, length of videos, the target of videos, all these affect the student engagement. And this should be supported with participatory design activities with teachers, with students, and perhaps some technology experts and advisors. Then this role of videos in reflective debriefings of professional learning is very much linked to many facets of the football, for use of videos in football as well. And this refers to our many articles on pilot training, which you can find from the list of references. And then last, Corbin and Walton just recently noticed that when we have the generative AI for automatic summarization of texts, images, even videos, computer programs, and others, do this outsource learning onto a machine, or do these capabilities, technical capabilities, scaffold and support students to learn themselves? And this is really something that we must be actively study and elaborate in the school and educational contexts. But my closing statement, was there conceptual transfer, is that yes, there was actually very much conceptual transfer between football skills, their learning training and scaffold for learning as well. And this is the list of references. Thank you so much for your interest and if you were able to come to the end of this video. Over and out from Jyväskylä, and all the best for the symposium. Thank you.